Nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. What was Jesus really revealing? Was he speaking about the future, about judgment? Or was he pointing towards something far more personal, something waiting to awaken within us? Today, we begin with a single sentence spoken by Jesus nearly 2,000 years ago. A sentence so simple that most people read past it without ever stopping to ask what it truly means. For centuries, these words have been read, repeated, and interpreted in countless ways. Yet one question remains. What if we have become so familiar with them that we have stopped seeing their deepest meaning? What you are about to explore may completely change the way you look at the teachings of Jesus, not by asking you to abandon your faith, but by inviting you to see familiar words through a different lens. One that emphasizes inner transformation, direct experience, and a living relationship with the divine. What if Jesus wasn't simply establishing religious rules? What if he was inviting people to awaken to something they had forgotten about themselves? Imagine, for a moment, that you are standing before Jesus. You carry every question that has ever lived inside your heart. You ask him how to find God. He answers. Yet the people standing beside you walk away with completely different conclusions. How is that possible? His own disciples asked a similar question. Why do you speak in parables? And Jesus replied, to you it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 13:10-17. The word mysteries invites another question. Why mysteries? Why speak in symbols instead of simple explanations? Perhaps because some truths cannot simply be told. Perhaps they must be discovered. Throughout history, sincere people have searched for the meaning of these words. Different traditions have understood them in different ways. Some focused on beliefs and rituals. Others looked beyond the surface, asking whether Jesus was pointing toward an inner transformation that each person must experience for themselves. A deep and genuine understanding has always changed the way people see the world. Not because it gives them all the answers, but because it teaches them how to ask entirely different questions. This is not a journey of collecting new beliefs. It is a journey of remembering, of looking inward with honesty, of allowing familiar words to reveal layers of meaning that may have always been there, waiting for the right moment to be seen. What if the kingdom of heaven is not merely a destination to reach one day, but a reality that begins to unfold the moment your perception changes? What if the revelation Jesus spoke about is not only something that happens in history, but something that happens within the human heart? Keep an open mind as we continue.
What if the revelation Jesus
You don't have to
spoke
agree
about
with
is not
everything
only
you
something that
hear.
happens in history,
You only have
but
to be
something
willing
that
to look
happens
again.
within the human heart?
Because sometimes the greatest discoveries are not found by learning something new, but by seeing something ancient with completely new eyes. If these words resonate with you, write one word of faith in the comments below. It could be faith, truth, light, hope, for any word that reflects what your heart feels in this moment. Let's begin this journey together. Because what comes next may lead us to ask the most important question of all. What did Jesus truly mean when he said that nothing hidden would remain hidden? If Jesus wanted everyone to understand him immediately, why did he so often choose to speak in parables? Why not answer every question directly? Why wrap profound ideas in stories about seeds, vineyards, lamps, fishermen, and hidden treasure? Perhaps the answer is closer than we think. A parable does something that ordinary language cannot. It doesn't simply give information. It invites the listener to discover meaning for themselves. The same story can awaken one person, confuse another, and leave someone else completely unchanged. Not because the words are different, but because every listener hears through the lens of their own experience. Imagine listening to the parable of the sower. At first glance, it seems to describe nothing more than a farmer scattering seeds across different kinds of soil. But what if the soil is not the ground beneath our feet? What if it represents the landscape of the human heart? The rocky ground, the thorn-filled soil, the fertile earth. Could they be different states of awareness? Different ways of receiving truth? Perhaps the seed never changes. Perhaps what changes is the condition of the one receiving it. This possibility brings us back to the question the disciples themselves asked. Why do you speak to them in parables? And Jesus answered, to you it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Notice the word mysteries. Not secrets meant to exclude, but realities that cannot be fully understood through explanation alone. Some truths can only be recognized when the heart is ready to receive them. Throughout history, people have approached these words from many different perspectives. Some have emphasized doctrine, others have focused on ritual. Still others have wondered whether Jesus was inviting his listeners into an inner transformation, one that no external authority could accomplish on their behalf. If that possibility is true, and the parables are more than moral lessons, they become invitations, not to memorize, but to awaken, not to collect beliefs, but to cultivate perception. Perhaps this is why Jesus so often ended his teachings with the same challenge. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear. Not everyone hears in the same way. Not everyone sees the same thing. The difference may not be in the message, but in the level of awareness we bring to it. What if the kingdom of heaven is not simply a destination promised for the future, but a reality that begins to unfold the moment our perception changes? What if every parable is less about explaining God and more about transforming the one who is listening? If so, and the greatest revelation Jesus offered was never meant to remain on the surface of the words. It was meant to come alive within the person willing to seek beyond them. And that raises an even deeper question. Is the kingdom something that must be recognized rather than really described? Where does that journey truly begin? If the kingdom of heaven begins within, then perhaps the greatest journey Jesus ever invited us to take was not across the world, but into ourselves. Throughout history, people have searched for God in temples, in traditions, in rituals, and in sacred places. Yet Jesus repeatedly redirected attention somewhere unexpected. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. These words have inspired countless interpretations over the centuries. Some have understood them as a call to personal transformation. Others have emphasized the role of community worship and tradition. But regardless of the perspective, one question quietly remains. What happens when we stop searching only outside ourselves and begin listening within? Perhaps This is where true freedom begins. Not the freedom to reject faith, but the freedom to experience it personally, not through fear, not through obligation, but through direct awareness of the divine presence. Imagine for a moment that everything Jesus taught was meant to awaken something that had always been present, something waiting patiently beneath layers of distraction, fear, and endless noise. If that were true, then the greatest obstacle would not be God's silence. It would be our inability to hear. Perhaps this is why Jesus so often withdrew into solitude before speaking, teaching, or praying. Perhaps silence was never the absence of God. Perhaps it was the place where his voice could finally be heard. This journey asks something difficult of every one of us. It asks us to question, not with rebellion, but with sincerity. Not to destroy what we believe, but to discover whether our beliefs have become substitutes for direct experience. Throughout history, sincere seekers have reflected on these questions. Some found God primarily through shared traditions and communities. Others described an inner awakening, the transformation that no one else could accomplish for them. Perhaps both remind us of the same truth. No one can awaken your heart for you. No one can walk your inner path. No one can experience your relationship with God in your place. Jesus also said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8:32. Notice that he did not say information would set you free or arguments or religious identity. He spoke of truth. And truth is something that must be lived, not merely repeated. Perhaps this freedom begins the moment we stop defining ourselves only by inherited ideas and begin allowing the words of Jesus to transform the way we see ourselves, others, and God. The world around us constantly competes for our attention. Noise, fear, distraction, endless urgency. Every day our minds are pulled outward, leaving little space to cultivate the stillness where deeper understanding often begins. Yet every time Jesus invited people to see, to ask, to knock, he was also inviting them into an active journey, not passive belief, but living awareness. Today, we have access to more knowledge than any generation before us. Ancient manuscripts, different perspectives, historical discoveries, and voices from every corner of the world are now only moments away. Yet information alone does not awaken consciousness. Only sincere seeking does. Only honest reflection does. Only a heart willing to be transformed can recognize what has always been waiting beneath the surface. And perhaps this is the revelation Jesus was pointing toward all along. Not a truth hidden somewhere far away, but a truth patiently waiting to be recognized within the one who genuinely seeks. But if this inner awakening is real, if the kingdom truly begins within, then one final question remains. How do we begin living these teachings in our everyday lives, instead of simply admiring them from a distance? We begin this journey with a single sentence spoken by Jesus. Nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest. Luke 8:17. Perhaps those words were never meant to satisfy our curiosity. Perhaps they were meant to awaken it. Throughout this journey, we have explored a possibility. What if many of the teachings of Jesus invite us to look beyond the surface of the words and into the transformation they are meant to inspire within us? Whether you agree with every reflection we've shared or not, one thing remains undeniable. The questions Jesus asked, and the questions his words continue to raise, have never stopped inviting people into a deeper search. Perhaps the greatest revelation is not discovering something that no one has ever known. Perhaps it is seeing something familiar with new eyes, reading the same verses, yet hearing them differently, praying the same prayers, yet understanding them more deeply, living the same life with a transformed awareness. If that happens, then revelation is no longer only about information, it becomes transformation. Jesus never invited people merely to admire truth from a distance. He invited them to seek, to ask, to knock, to remain awake. And perhaps every one of those invitations points toward the same reality. A living relationship with God cannot simply be inherited. It must become personal. The kingdom of heaven, whether we understand it as an inner reality, a future promise, or both, begins changing us the moment we sincerely seek what is true, not through fear, not through pride, but through humility, through love, and through the courage to keep searching, because every genuine search changes the person who is searching. And perhaps that is why Jesus spoke so often about those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. Not because truth belongs to only a few, but because every heart awakens in its own time. The purpose of this channel is not to tell you what you must believe. It is to invite you to ask deeper questions, to revisit familiar passages, to reflect carefully, to seek sincerely, and to discover what those words awaken within your own heart. If today's message encouraged you to look at the teachings of Jesus from a new perspective, then our journey is only beginning. There are many more passages to explore, many more questions to ask, and many more conversations waiting to unfold. If this reflection resonated with you, subscribe to the Hidden Christ and become part of this journey. Here, we don't claim to have every answer. We simply believe that every sincere question can bring us one step closer to truth. And remember the words that began today's journey. Nothing is hidden. It will not be made manifest. Perhaps the next revelation is already waiting within you.